Welcome back to this week's podcast. A short and sharp one this week because I think most of the things I'm going to talk about, I think you'll agree with me on, but maybe you won't. But we're going to talk about, do old school sales techniques work? And the reason I brought this up is because I was talking to someone the other day who was an old school person. And nothing against them, I won't say who they are, but they were a person whose view of selling and sales was very much an old style. And I remember thinking then, wow, if you still think some of those things are the right way to approach it, then you're in a different world to me. And they're successful in what they're doing in many respects, but I don't think they're successful in winning new business. They're successful in the existing customers. They've built good relationships, but they're not winning new business. So I want to just talk about some old school techniques that person was talking about and how I don't think they are where you want to be going forward. But again, as I always do with the podcast, let me know your thoughts. If you think I'm talking absolute tripe, tell me, reach out to me, tell me, and you think I don't know what I'm on about. I'm happy to have that discussion and open up that conversation with you. So let me talk about the old school techniques that they mentioned to me. The first one was pitching the product. So they're in this person's industry. I'm not going to say the industry because it will maybe open up who they are, but they were literally saying, well, the way I approach people is I talk about what we can offer and what we can do and why we're a great solution for them. And I've been doing this for a number of years. It's how I've always sold, and it really works really well. And I was like, okay, cool. And how's it going at the moment? Oh yeah, things are tough. Things are slow at the moment. Things are a bit difficult. And I was like, is it because of the way you're approaching it, or is it because the market is just slow? And I couldn't help but think it is that. And he was, saying to me that product, pushing the product is what people want. People haven't got time to listen to other stuff. They haven't got time to look at other materials. All they want to know is the product can be a good fit for me, and is it going to work from a pricing perspective? Now, of course, that method was the old way in which a lot of things were sold, and it may well be the method that you decide is the right approach for you to take. But the reason here's why I don't think it works anymore. Firstly, people don't look at just buying products and being solely product focused. It's that they want other things now. They want other value, I think, from the providers. They want to fit. If the conversation you are having, with someone is just about the single product that they supply to you, and is only about that, and you don't have a relationship and you don't build a dynamic, you don't think they're a great company and brand and like their people and what they stand for, then I think it sends a huge risk for you as an organization. I think people get, if it's that simple that all you're buying it for is the product and the price, then the reality is when someone comes out with a different, better product and a better price, they're going to move quite quickly to you. And I think that type of relationship in a sales situation is dangerous. I think it can cause you a lot of challenges as a business, and it means that you're going to be, working very hard and potentially running the risk of losing someone, day in, day out, which to me doesn't work. So I'm not a big fan of pitching the product or the service offering to people there and then. I would rather create a bit of value, create a bit of intrigue, create a bit of curiosity. But that was one of his methods of doing it. So let me know what you think. But maybe there are times and places when you need to be a bit shorter and sharper and get to the point around what it is you offer. But I still think people buy outcomes and the end result of what it is you do. So I think still people buy the solving the pain, solving the desire they have, solving the end point of the end point, not so much the product itself. So, but tell me what you think. So point number 2 was bad-mouthing the competition. So one of the things that this person does, which again I was a bit intrigued by, was they were having a conversation with someone at an event that they met, and the other person would talk around the other company that they were considering. And they proceeded to sort of go into a huge amount of, the reason you wouldn't go into working with those people is because of, this company's this, and have you seen they've done that, and the chances are they won't do this, and, do you know the way they do this? And they pretty much bad-mouthed that company. Now, competitive scenarios are really difficult in any sales situation. And we're often faced with people, competing with us for what it is we do. And, buyers are always looking for ways in which to distinguish between you and the competitors. So I get why that, I get the essence of what he was trying to do. But here's why I don't agree with bad-mouthing competitors. Firstly, I just don't think it's appropriate, and I just don't think it makes you look good. I think it sounds a bit like, to me, schoolboy stuff in the playground. He said, she said, miss. And it just to me feels like an average and amateur way of going about engaging with people. So for me, bad mouthing specific companies I wouldn't do. I might talk about potential other people. I might talk about types of organisations that do something and say I don't agree with that, but I wouldn't badmouth any individual company or person as part of that process. I don't think it reflects well on you, and you're just going to create potential animosity and challenge that you don't need. The second reason why I don't believe in bad-mouthing competition is that what you're also then doing is you're basically telling that buyer that they've made a dumb decision by even thinking about that person. So if you think about it, if someone says to you, oh, well, we're looking at such and such company and you guys, oh, well, these other company, these other people are rubbish and blah, blah. You're basically saying to the buyer, you're an idiot for even thinking about that person. And as far as I've been in my sales career for nearly 40 odd years, telling a buyer that they're an idiot and that they've done the wrong thing generally doesn't work. So I generally don't think you should tell people that that they're an idiot by looking at someone else. What you've got to be able to do is try and find out why they're looking at someone else, what's made them want to look at that company or that person, what is it that they offer, is it their marketing, is it their brand, their culture, what they stand for? And I'd be asking questions to that person. What's made you so intrigued by that organisation? Or what is it about that organisation that you like? And what is it about them that you think works really well for you? I'd be asking questions like that rather than trying to badmouth someone, because I just don't think you're going to build a rapport and get a buyer thinking automatically just listening to what you say and thinking, oh yeah, they must be right. James must be right because he thinks bad about the other company. People make their own mind up. And that goes on to my third point around this, which is, actually I think you devalue trust and you destroy trust by bad-mouthing people rather than actually the other way. So Marcus Sheridan in his book, They Ask You Answer, talks around your buyers are thinking these thoughts in their mind. So his view was to put up a comparison, say, hey, here's how we compare with company X and company Y, and he did give company examples. So if you are going to compare yourself to other companies and give examples, don't be critical of them, but say they're great in this way and this way and this way, but they maybe not as great in this way and this way. And by the way, this is how we're great, but we're not good in this way, but not great in these other ways. And what that does is it builds trust in the mind of the buyer, that actually there are people that are prepared to be a bit open, sort of look at the pros and cons of a particular company. Now, some people might look at the pros of the competitor and the cons of you and think that's for them and that's their choice. But you're better to know that now or early in the process than you are later on down the line. So I'm not a big believer in bad-mouthing the competition. It's not something I would do. It's not something I think is a good idea for you to do. Would I recommend it? No. If you are going to talk about other people, talk about the industry or other types of companies, but do I recommend it? No. But if you want to do it, hey, good luck to you if it works in your industry. What can I say? But yeah, something to think about maybe if you're doing that and what it means for the buyer. Okay, point number 3 is cranking up the pressure. So or what's been called sales bullying, as it's been called. So I've seen a lot of cases, not with the individual I met with, but I've seen a lot of cases where some of what I would call old school techniques of, people having to really crank up the pressure and it's a pressurized process. And in fact, I was, a family relative went to see a lady who I work with myself. And I don't think she's a bully, but she's passionate about what she does. But she actually cares too much so that she put in front of the person that I knew had gone to the service and said, basically what you've had, you're going to want this, this, and this, and said that'll be £164, please. And the other person felt a bit pressurised. They felt bullied, and that person didn't have the courage to at that moment say no. They sort of went ahead with the purchase, but they left there feeling very disgruntled and left there feeling that they're never going to go back to that person. So even though they've made a sale, they haven't built a relationship and a customer because they felt it was too pushy and too pressurized. And it's a tactic that a lot of companies work because a lot of people are afraid to say, no, sorry, I'm not comfortable to do that. It's a tactic used in a lot of, a lot of the old fashioned car sales rooms, the old, pressurized situation to push people to do things. People, start, having these sort of, I've spent a lot of time with you. I mean, I was even looking at a TikTok the other day, and this is disgusting, I think, but there was a man that, was on a video, and he was sort of saying to this woman that, he bought her lunch and bought her dinner, and he wanted to spend more time with her, and he paid for that, thinking that there'd be an end result for it. It's like, I just think I can't stand things like that. If you're in a sales position and you want to crank up the pressure and bully someone just because you've done something, then I think you're in the wrong game. To me, sales is about being able to serve and help people. And yes, of course, you want to sell something to someone, but if they don't want to buy what you offer, then hey, you're better off to walk away than to put the pressure on people and to try and drive up that scenario. Now, the person that did it in the example I just mentioned isn't that type of person. I know her. She isn't that. She's passionate about what she cares about, but she maybe lets that passion override and appear into something where other people can think of it as bullying. So do I think you've got to be really careful about that? Yes. A great question that you can always ask for people when you're in a selling situation, when you've given them a price, how's that feel to you? How are you thinking? How are you feeling? And if someone said, yeah, I'm feeling really good about this, this feels great. I want to make sure you're happy. I want to make sure you're in a great place. I don't want to feel like you're pressurized. And, I don't want you to go down the road and then decide it's not for you. So let's get it out in the open now. How are you thinking? Yeah, I'm feeling really great. Fantastic. Let's move forward. Now, again, a lot of people would say, oh, I wouldn't do that, James. I'm going to basically ruin the chance of a sale. But buyer's remorse happens so often because people get pressurized into doing something, and the moment they leave the scenario, they then say, oh, thank God for that, I can send an email and cancel it. And Consumer Rights and Protection in the UK will give you the ability to do that. So bad mouthing and cranking up the pressure and putting pressure on people, I don't think works. I think it can only leave you, it can work initially, but I think it causes more problems down the line. I don't think it builds relationships. It's certainly not going to build that person to be an advocate of your company and what you do. So just be really careful about it would be my thoughts on that. And linked to that one is artificial urgency. So you'll get a number of people that will create this artificial urgency. And the problem around artificial urgency is that if you're not consistent with that, and there are people that will say this is available for this period of time and after that it's gone. And I've been in situations where I've then tried to go back and buy that product thinking, oh, they didn't mean it. And it was like, no, it has gone. We can't sell it now. And I feel annoyed about that. But when you get companies that will literally say, oh, we've only got 10 left. And then you buy the course or buy something, and then you get back next week, oh, we've released another 20. I know it's a tactic, but that artificial urgency thing, I just don't think works. People get suspicious about it. They're skeptical about it. I think you're better off to be able to try and identify what's stopping them or find out what's stopping them from making the buying process than doing that. And I guess the final old school technique that I wanted just to talk about, I have done a podcast on this. I'm not sure which one will go out first, but is around calling. And someone said to me, an old school technique is to pick up the phone. That doesn't, and actually the person that I mentioned in the first couple of examples had said to me that he didn't think this approach worked. Oh, no, it doesn't work. And this is where I disagreed with him totally. I was like, well, actually, I think it can work if you do it in the right way. So calling and picking up the phone, people say, oh, it's 2024, people don't want to be bothered, they've got loads of stuff going on, whatever else. I think the phone, this device here, is your most underutilized sales asset to have a conversation with someone, to have a discussion with someone. So as an old school technique, the four that I've mentioned, around product, bad mouthing, the cranking up the pressure and bullying, and artificial urgency, do I think work? No, but I think calling does. I think calling has a huge opportunity. In fact, I may even try and make it so that we launch the podcast next week on cold calling. So we'll try and, not next week, but the week you're listening to this week, and the following week, I'm going to try and maybe link this to cold calling and give you my views on it. My podcast is looking at me now going, oh my God, what have you done? But if we try and get this one out this week, we'll try and get the cold calling, because I think cold calling does to have a basis, but if it's targeted, there is a specific way to do it and not to do it. And if you do it in the wrong way, you will fail. But if you do it in the right way, then it can work. So yeah, I still think calling has an impact, and having a conversation, if you can prepare yourself and deal with it in the right way. So those are my old school sales techniques that I think don't work, and why I don't think they work. And there's some people might not say they're old school. Someone might be listening to this going, oh, these are new school techniques. These are sales techniques. In which case, then you might think they're just techniques that you think work. But look, these are my thoughts and reasons for it. Tell me I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, tell me. Reach out in the comment section below, on the comment section of the podcast. Tell me you think I'm wrong, or why you think I'm wrong. If you think those methods still work, and if it works for you, and you're getting business, and you're building up a tribe, and people love what you do, then hey, look. No issues at all. But for me and my businesses and the way that I do, these are methods that I wouldn't want to be involved in. So, but that's my side of things. So, look, as I always do, I finish the podcast with an inspirational story. And so my inspirational story this week is a lady called Dame Avril Mansfield. And Dame Avril Mansfield was, and why is her story inspirational? So she's just recently won a Pride of Britain award, and she became the UK's first female professor of surgery. And she qualified as a doctor in 1960. And literally, there was just at the time when she was doing that, only 2% of surgeons in the UK were women, which is ridiculous when we think about it now, considering the amount of skills and talent that ladies and different types of people have. But back then, in 19 when she became a surgeon in 1972 in Liverpool, only 2% of surgeons were women. And she's recently won an award for becoming and showing her that she was a lifetime achievement for literally trailblazing women in surgery. So so Dame Avril Mansfield was a person that just believed in what she could do and had a passion and desire to go and achieve a goal in her life, and she did it. And she's now, rightly so, been recognised as a dame. So she's obviously now got a title from the government, from the royalty, or however honours are assigned, but has also been given an award for her successes. And I think when you see scenarios and stories like that, what can you do today that can inspire someone in 5-10 years' time? What you can be the pioneer or trailblazer for? And people say, there's nothing I can do that can be that. And I'm going to say to you, there is. What are what skills, what passions do you have? What can you become? What can you do that can help, inspire other people? I'm sure there are things. I believe there are that you can do. So let's let Dame Avril Mansfield's story, which she was dealing with at a time when very few people wanted her to be a surgeon, but she pushed through and became the inspiration she was. How can you take her story to become an inspiration in what you do? But that's it from this week of the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the episode on old school techniques. If you have, let me know. Like, subscribe to the channel, tell other people about it. Let's get as many people as we can getting great sales results, and hopefully not using the old school techniques I don't think work. But if you do think they work, hey, go ahead. But that's it for this week. See you next week. Take care. Have a great time.